Hello, what's up, good people? Good to see you once again. Guess what? Today I'm gonna share with you exactly how I got out of broke life and what exactly formula did I use, what are the nitty-gritties did I apply in my life so that I get out myself out of it. I'm gonna share with you step by step. And by the way, it is not a rocket science. Something that is tangible, something that you can do, and you can as well apply it in your life and get yourself out of the challenges if after all you're facing any of them. So you better watch this video to the end so you get exactly what I'm gonna share with you. But before that, because I'm worried and I don't want you to miss any of my good videos, and again, statistics are telling me there's some of the guys who are watching my videos without subscribing. All right, so today I'm gonna show you how to subscribe. It's very simple. Just down below there on your right there is a button written subscribe. It is in black. Just hit that magical button. Then on the left there is a like button like this. Hit those two magical buttons, and guess what happens the moment you do that? YouTube on its big form will actually notify you that Good Joseph has uploaded a new good video. So we're gonna move together on this. By the way, it doesn't cost anything. It is free and it is fast, right? So let's get into the business. All right, so just like any other youth of Kenya out there, I got out of campus hoping that I'll get my job. And by the way, guess what? After facing the Mr. Life, you realize that life is way different from what you expected. So what did I do? I got myself what I can be able to get. That's why I always tell people, do what you have as you wait what you want. This is what I did. If you're gonna go down there and check one of my oldest videos out there, you'll find that myself, I used to be a painter. Yes, I used to be a painter. So it means that the job that I got when I got off the campus, I tried to look for areas where I can actually get employed and disseminate my services and get paid out of that, but there was none. So I had to pick that what was showing and do exactly that. So I used to do interior design, interior decor and what have you, all those things, selling paints and what have you, all those things, I used to do them in collection. But I knew one thing at the back of my head. Sometimes I could sit with some guys and tell them, hey, you know what guys, whatever we are doing right now, we are getting paid per day. This money that you're getting paid per day, I am telling you, is not enough. If you don't do anything about our future, I am telling you, some of the, what discouraged me in that job? You find that some of the guys whom we were working with were over 40 years and they were telling me, I've been in this industry for over 40 years. And when I look around what they have achieved, I realized, you know what? I'm telling you, if I keep on doing these things, I'm gonna grow old without anything. So I knew a secret, and I used to tell my friends, you know what, if we keep on doing whatever we are doing, we're gonna get ourselves into problems. So what exactly did I do? I knew some things about shares, I knew some things about money market fund. Well, I had no money to invest in things like treasury bonds or treasury bills. This is what I did because I had no time to do what we call the conventional way of investment. So I used to take a little money, put it in money market fund, put it in some sort of shares and what have you. Sometimes I used to, by the way, I'm still a manager, I'm not really a manager rather, but sort of a founder of a certain youth frontline group whereby we formed it back in 2018 where we saved. I still have another one. So I knew unless we come together, we pool resources, that's the only way we can be able to develop. So I did take that small money that I used to get. I remember I used to get like 1,000 bob, sometimes 1,200 in a single day. So sometimes I could almost eat everything, but I put aside like, sometimes I could put aside like 400 shillings, invest it somewhere so that I can be able to see or get my future in a better way. So first of all, one thing I knew, if you get yourself debt when you're broke, then you actually get yourself into more problems. It's like realizing you're already in a ditch. But the thing is, stop digging and figure out how you can get yourself out of it. All right. The moment you're broke, in most cases, you're likely to borrow, and the moment you borrow, you're actually funding what you call the consumables, things that does not generate you income. So you have to realize, irrespective of that small amount of money that you have, that's what I did, and I realized, you know what? If I'm getting 1,000 bob, and by the way, this money is not predictable. It's not I'm getting today, tomorrow, and the other day. So what I used to do is that the moment I get that 1,000 bob, if I had some debt, I used to try my best as I can to clear those debts. All right. So once I clear the debts, then that small amount of money I remain with, I used to create a small portfolio. I put that small money in money market fund, and you can do so with even with 100 bob. All right. So you can just channel that 100 bob, 200, 300, 3,000, whatever that kind of money you have, provided is at a minimum of 100. So I put it out there, and it's a money that you can actually go ahead and withdraw it, and you can benefit yourself. Well, so that is exactly the same formula that I used, and there's something that I can say by the grace of God that I was born with. I was born with what we call discipline. By the way, before I spend my money, I have to think and think and think and rethink and think before I go out there and purchase an item that I want. No matter how in need I am, I have to think about it. Sometimes I could even spend a whole month even without thinking or actually figuring out whether I really need that shoe. So that's how I am. So it means that you have to get what we call the discipline. You need to get yourself what we call the sacrifice. Those things has to go hand in hand. You know, the problem that we do is that you know very well that you're getting small, quote unquote, small salary, and then there you are, there is a life that you do admire in your life, but again you're not even knowing exactly how you get to that life, so you're funding that what you cannot be able to afford. This is what I did. I used to live in a very quite affordable house whereby I used never to pay a lot of rent out there. So, and I always tell people, you know what, you better look as if you don't think but you do, rather than look as if you think but you don't. All right, so I knew one thing: this rent that I'm paying, this money is going to down drain. I'll never recover this money. So even if I can even manage to sleep outside and save my money, so better be it. All right, so I used to get myself like that affordable house whereby I can be able to pay like the lowest amount of money. If let's say like a BS happens in life, I can just show up to two people and tell them, hey, you know what guys, can you lend me like 2,000 or 2,000 and be able to pay my rent, rather than getting yourself in a whole huge sum of money that if maybe let's say you are due date and you don't have the money, you don't even know how you can go ahead and do exactly that. So these are the formulas that I use. Number one, I made sure that I got myself out of the debt. And number two, I made sure that at least no matter how small amount of money I'm saving, I'm gonna do something about it. And saving is not a thing. Remember one thing: you cannot save yourself to riches. All right, so what you do is that you save first. Of course it starts with savings. All right, you save, you accumulate. All right, personally I love to call it accumulating money or storing money. Once you store that money, if it is now or substantive, to put it somewhere where it can generate you small amount of money, then you can pick that cash, you put it down there whereby it can earn you something little. Even if you put like 1,000 bob or 2,000 bob in a whole year and gives you like 100 or maybe 200, that would be amazing. I mean, seriously, if that money was just to rest in a bank, nothing would have happened. So you have to understand one thing: there is something called a compounding effect with money. All right, now that's why, by the way, that's why I love money market fund, by the way. So maybe you can just pick that one and invest it, and you can grow yourself out of it. So the other thing that I did, or I do, and I still do, you have discipline and consistency. And I remember when I was starting this channel, I knew one thing. Well, I used to watch YouTube videos and people say like, oh, you know what, YouTube can actually function as a passive income, you can earn with it or from it and what have you. So I said, you know what, why not try? Whenever I had or I hear something that I know it can make me money, I always pick that example, put it down on practical, and move to the next level. I remember I didn't even have a smartphone whereby I can be able to record videos. I remember very well the very first video I filmed on YouTube, I borrowed my sister's phone because I had no smartphone. All right, so I knew one thing: this might not pay today, might not even pay tomorrow, or even next year, but one day, I don't know when, but one day it can give me something as a passive income as I move along. All right, so one thing, first of all, from where you are, appreciate the fact that you're already on a ditch. All right, first of all, you appreciate. After appreciating, now you figure out, what do I have at my hand? This is what I have at my hand. Then how do I allocate that small amount of money that I have towards growing myself or growing a portfolio? All right, so you realize that irrespective of how much you get, sometimes you find that people who get by the way, I was challenged with a certain lady who was employed somewhere in a hotel. You know, she was earning 450 shillings per day. All right, and she was telling me, you know what I did, Joseph? Once I get my 450 shillings, 100 bob is for the transport purposes, 52 and 50 from. Okay, so 100 bob is gone. That I cannot negotiate with it. But if I get out of the job early, I can just walk and try to minimize that amount of money that I spend on fare. But again, let's just assume it's 100 bob, right? So I'm remaining with 350. I have a group that I always put aside 100 bob, so I'm remaining with 250. Now with 250, I can be able to plan myself. And by the way, one thing go around, they used to do this merry-go-round thing, a kind of. She used to get like 30,000, 20,000, and what have you. That's a good amount of money. And she started a small business about selling vegetables and what have you. You see that chain? It all starts with discipline, sacrifice, then actually putting your money on the go. You can be disciplined, you sacrifice, you get the money, but you're doing nothing about it. All right. So it starts with discipline, you sacrifice, you put the money on the go, it makes you money, then you progress to the next level. All right. So those are the things that I picked up way earlier, and I realized this is the best thing to do. Because by the way, I realized when I was getting out of the out of the fourth year back in university, I realized this is it's a rigged game. The moment I knew it's a rigged game is when I was looking for an internship. All right, I was out there looking for an internship, and it was so hard for me to get an internship. I remember I was at the Mulolongo road, going to Mulolongo, and I realized, wow, you know what, I had some money in my pocket. Like, actually I had 5,000, and I was to pay for that industry to get me attached to their industry. And I realized, you know what, this is a rigged game. You know why it's a rigged game? If I have money and I want to pay them to get attached, what if I was looking for a job for them to pay me? Wow, it will be a milestone. That's the time I realized whatever we are doing in this school, it is good and it's nice, but at the end of the day, if you want to wait about this to give us food on the table, then I'm telling us it's gonna be a bumpy ride. That's the time I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do what shows up, and I'm gonna do exactly what I have on the table. Can you imagine this? You go to university, you actually passed exemplary out of your high school, and then you go to the industry whereby you're meeting people who never, or if some people even got D's and E's and what have you, and those are the kind of people who you're interacting with. If you allow yourself to get consumed in that kind of a group, then you might inherit their thinking. And I'm saying, with all the due respect to them, some of them are very smart and wise, but you find like large percentage of them, if you get yourself assumed or consumed by them, you can get yourself into this kind of a rat race and moving some sort of a thing. Because I used to share those ideas about money market fund and shares, and you remember, you know what they used to say? Hey, you utaoshwa, I don't know, you lose money and what have you. So it's all about taking calculated risks, being disciplined, sacrificing, and moving to the next level. And again, this is a disclaimer. And not that I'm already where I would love to be. I'm still on this journey, growing myself and moving to the next level. When you want to be successful in life, you start by beating the basics. When you beat the rent, human being things are made of, or rather, we usually say that human being needs are into three categories. We have the food, the shelter, and the clothing. If you can be able to defeat those three things, then the other things coming back to you or getting them is usually an easier job. So focus on defeating those three things and you move to the next level. Perhaps the parting shot that I can leave you with is, do what you have, do what you can as you wait for what you want. Because if you were to be choosing in this country that you're living in, then I'm telling you, then brace yourself for a bumpy ride. All right, so anyway, that's my very shortest story. And perhaps you're out there, you have some of your cash you've already invested, you don't even know how you can get yourself started. Perhaps you're watching this video as a student, a campus student, and what have you. You can pick up any of my booklets about investment, about money market fund. How do you invest on money market fund? You can get a booklet. How do you invest on treasury bills? You have the cash. How can you invest on shares? I still have the booklets, business plans, business ideas, and all what have you. You can grab my number from the description of this specific video. Text me on WhatsApp, you get your a copy. It's only 220 shillings and you get started, because remember one thing, knowledge is power. All right. My name is Joseph, talk about investment and anything related to exactly that. So for now, it's a goodbye and see you in the next one. And goodbye.